Tom, how do you define a story? What is a story as opposed to simply information?
A story is an account of a character going through a series of events that makes the character go through a personal transition.
Why are stories important and have always been important?
Well, stories started as the first artifact we actually have of mankind. If you think of the cave paintings in Spain near Bilbao 65,000 years ago, in France in the Lascaux caves 25,000 years ago, all of these are little comics of hunting stories, basically. They're not numbers, they're not formulas, they're not graphs, they're not pie charts.
Why are stories important in communication? What elements do they have that make them important?
So, first of all, there's characters, right? We relate to other people through stories. We engage with them. We literally cannot see the difference between ourselves and another person, at least at the cerebral level. Our brain doesn't understand the difference when we read and relate to a character. The other thing is there's events. There's things that happen in a particular time, in a particular place. And we get carried away by that.
There are different types of stories, aren't there?
Yes, there are. There are a number of structures. There's 8, depending on who you follow. The main one, though, is the hero's journey. The hero's journey is very much about there's a setup, you leave your safe space. Then there's some sort of drama. There's the inner cave or the valley of death, some serious trouble. But in the end, we live happily ever after. That kind of sequence is considered a hero's journey.
Now, there are some elements, though, that are common to all stories, according to your research, aren't there? What are those elements?
The elements are characters, events, and an emotional curve of sorts. So there's always a character that has thoughts, that has feelings, not a type, a character with actual thoughts and feelings. Then there are events that take place in a time and in a particular space, and that is well described. And lastly, there is an emotional curve of emotions that go up and down and that have some sort of a climax somewhere along the storyline.
What is the winning formula, if you like, the winning structure?
Well, definitely when we think of journalism, for example, the winning structure is really about kicking off with the climax. You know, it's like thinking of a murder that you see in a police procedural, right? That murder always starts at the beginning. They don't build up to the murder. It's the murder first, then the police comes in with the solution.
Then, just looking at stories in a news context, how can people use stories, say, in an interview, a news interview?
Well, so if you're an academic and you're trying to get your research across, right, you might have a message, this is my main finding, or this is important because, and then you have some sort of facts or support. After that, it really helps if you got some sort of example, some sort of metaphor. Now that example, that basically is a story. It's a little anecdote of, well, so in this situation, that person did this and that. That is all it takes to tell a little story.
What does that do for the message of the research?
It makes it come alive. It makes people realize, hey, this is something that I can put myself into. It takes something that might be abstract and very academic and put it into practical terms that people relate to.